Hello, Tech Pros, episode 148.
No matter what anyone says, ignore them. If you've got a dream, protect it and go after it.
Welcome to the podcast where I chat with professionals who are getting the job done using technology 7 days a week. Each week, we start with Motivation Monday. Tuesday is about productivity. Wednesday, leadership. Thursday, technology. Friday, people and communication. Saturday, entrepreneurship. And Sunday, being unplugged. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Basel Farag. Happy Monday, Basel.
Happy Monday.
Dude, I don't know why, but my brain kind of froze up right there, and I almost said, happy birthday. So if it's close to your birthday, or if it's 64.25 days away from your birthday, still just happy birthday and happy Monday.
Thank you. Last week was my birthday, so actually you nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah, that was totally on purposely accidental.
Yeah, nicely done.
Awesome. Are you motivated to get this interview started?
Indeed, I am.
Awesome. Basel Farag is an iOS, other developer, mentor, tech writer. He's been published in TechCrunch and the Simple Programmer website. He writes regularly on all things Swift and iOS and tech on his blog, garglingwithrazorblades.com. He regularly appears at iOS development conferences across the U.S. and across the world. He writes, he speaks on topics surrounding Swift and machine language and scientific programming, and is currently writing a book. He is the author behind the controversial Please Don't Learn to Code and is vocal about the rights of marginalized communities in tech. He learned to code only a few years ago, but he's achieved modest success regardless. And Basel, dude, I got to ask you this domain name. Where did this idea come from? Garglingwithrazorblades.com.
So in college, I took biochem. And I remember we were at the professor's office hours, and we were getting help. Biochem, as you might imagine, is not the easiest course to walk through. So you'll go to the professor's office hours, and I think a friend of mine, while we were working with the professor, just said, I really like biochem. I'd really love to, pursue graduate school in it. And he was like, oh, please don't. No, it's like gargling with razor blades. And I was like, that is the most perfect. That's beautiful. So,
well, once you hear it, I don't think you need to bookmark it. I think it's just kind of stuck there. That's a brand that I think I'm always going to remember. And when I hear that phrase or think of that phrase, I'm going to remember, Basel, the iOS developer.
Yeah,
yep.
I mean, it kind of it was meant to describe like the experience of having to teach yourself to code and constantly like teaching yourself and dealing with things like imposter syndrome. Like it's all feels like sometimes feels like gargling with razor. So
it's a pain, it's a struggle, and no matter if the tech comes easy to you, like when I was a little kid, the tech came easy to me, but the social aspects of computer programming, I got into software development because I thought, it's a job that I can do completely by myself with no other interaction with people because of the social anxiety that I had. And then come to find out that to really build my career, build a business, you gotta have the people skills as well. And so for me, that felt like gargling with razor blades for a long time. So yeah, I feel you, man. We all struggle.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell us about the book that you're writing now. So you're currently writing a book. What is that all about?
Okay, yeah, it's on a framework. It's actually called Metal, which is native to iOS, or iOS and Mac OS. I know there are people out there who are probably going PC master race, but and that's fine. But Metal was built for the Mac OS ecosystem, and it was designed to basically kick up the Mac's sort of graphics game up a notch. So, OpenGL, which and OpenCL, those sorts of things, which are traditionally used with Mac, have historically had just really poor performance, and so Apple was just like, why don't we make our own framework? And so they did, and they did not just willy nilly. They realized, well, they knew strategically that they make they make a ton of money off of games. They noticed, why not make something to help developers out? But that's not even the part that I'm most interested in. The part I'm actually interested in is Metal's capacity for parallel computation, which delves into things like machine learning and scientific computing and all this really cool, nifty stuff. The graphic stuff is great, but I think it's been sort of explored, but these other capabilities haven't. So the book is really a comprehensive guide to basically all of it. So I don't exclude graphics. I definitely include it. I was working on it right before we started talking. It's going to just consume my life for a while, but I'm hoping it'll really be helpful for people because it will be the first book. Yeah, it'll be the first published book to cover the topic, because there's no material out there on it besides Apple's website. So
awesome. Well, congratulations on working with that. I was just at an iOS meetup group, local meetup group here in Central Florida, 2 months ago, and there was some discussions about it, but not a lot of deep dive info into it. So
yeah, because no one knows. Every time I ask someone like, have you coded? And like today, so I'm in Denver right now for a conference, and one of the questions I'm going to ask is, how many of you have used Metal? And I don't expect too many hands to get to raise. Side note, when I tested, I did a test run of my presentation with one of my mentors. He was like, yeah, I think like 25% of people will understand what you're saying. So yeah, it's difficult material.
Well, I knew that, or I had heard that it was a framework for doing 3D graphics and high performance computing, but I had no idea that you could apply the same framework to machine learning and scientific programming. That's really pretty cool.
Yeah, no one. It blew my mind. No one was thinking of it, and that's my mentor's actually. I shouldn't say this, but my mentor, when I told him that, was like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought of that." So he encouraged / bullied me into to write out this book. So
awesome. When is it going to come out, do you expect?
Oh, hopefully, end of, or no, January. Yeah, or end of December. It really just depends on how exhausted I am. So.
All right, so by end of January 2017, if our audience is listening to this sometime in the future, if it's not end of January 2017 yet, then be patient, or maybe you can pre-order it. And if it's already fast forward in time, then go pick it up.
Yeah, you can pre-order it now. Actually, just
sweet.
Go jump to my website. So.
Awesome. Well, Basel, as you know, today is Motivation Monday, and I know you're super motivated to get your book published by the end of this year, before the year runs out. But you know what? It's all about this high level of energy, this enthusiasm, this willingness to do whatever it takes to succeed and to meet our goals and to just live the lifestyle that we want to live. But we all struggle with something. We all struggle with motivation from time to time. So I want to ask you a personal question, and that's the personal story of the time when you were unmotivated, completely unmotivated, and didn't want to write a book and didn't want to work on new frameworks. And then how did you get past that?
It's interesting because I can't think of like a specific moment where I was just like, no, I don't want to do anything. But I can think of sort of this specter kind of looming where it's kind of like whispering to me, don't do it. Just, you know, give up, that kind of thing, where it's not all at once, but more like a buildup of demotivation. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, man, I've struggled with a lot of self anxiety and social anxiety and just self reflection, negativity, demotivating thoughts running through my head since I was a little kid, honestly. And
Mm-hmm.
so that actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I feel you. Actually, I've issues with thinking anxiety as well. So I mean, that is kind of our domain. But yeah, uh, I think the best time to describe, like, I'm trying to think. Sometimes, I mean, it happens all the time where you get these sudden, you know. Attacks from your consciousness, uh, just telling you, like, why are you doing this? Why don't you go to bed? Like, why don't you, why, just the why. That's really what your subconscious is asking you, in my case. And honestly, it's it's not just one fight. It's a constant fight, and it's not like exhausting, or something like that, like where it's like, I'm fighting this, sort of war every day. But it is a battle, right? Every
Hmm.
day you have a choice to either get up or not, and we forget that that's like a huge choice. um, you could get up and do what life requires of you, or not. How, did you ask me, like, what was the second part to that question? I think I missed it.
So, how did you get through this, right? So, we
Yeah,
all get these
yeah,
periods where we get down in the dumps. We all get these periods where,
yeah,
dude, I don't want to get out of bed today, let alone write a
yeah,
book or let alone do
yeah,
a podcast or do the things that I have to do.
for
But like you
sure.
said, it's a choice. So, what makes you choose to get out of bed and choose to do the hard things that other people are not doing?
Oh, the motivators. The uh, there are things in, I think, everyone's lives that motivate them and push them. And for me, it's several things. Number one, it's my mom. I'm a first generation immigrant. My mom has been there for me forever. She is a tiny woman who has put up with a lot from three kids, but she got us all into college. She got, we all graduated. We're really, pretty boring kids, in a good way. Like, none of us drink or anything like that. Um, and she managed to do that. And, um, she still hasn't really been, in my eyes, been rewarded for that. Um, still struggling after all this time. And it's not fair, in my eyes. So that's a huge motivator for me. It's like, all right, um, what did Ma have to do? She doesn't, she had to learn English. She was mocked for her English. She had to work hotels, right? So, like, when you think about those things, you're like, okay, and it's not like I'm comparing suffering. It's nothing like that. It's more like, this person was willing to do this for me. Um, I, I should be able to do that, or I want to be able to repay for that. It's a big deal to me. And it's hard when you're an immigrant, and uh, you don't know the language, you don't know the territory, you don't know anything about the where you are, but she still hustled through it.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. to me, and that's a huge motivator. So that's number one. Number two, and I guess it's compounded. It's like two and three.
Mm-hmm.
I am told, for whatever reason, I am told that I can't do things pretty much all the time. I'm told I can't do this. I'm told I can't do that. I can't do that. And I think when I was younger, it got to me, but like as I grew older, now I'm like it's almost perverse, man. I get like a high off of when somebody tells me I can't do something because it's like, okay, all right, I can't do this. All right, let's check back in a month, bud. Like it's like challenge accepted. I love being underestimated. That's such a weird thing to say, I know, but that is truly the reason why that is because I love to prove people wrong, and I love to, if it's something that I really want, that like look, that surprise, that confusion. I feed off of that stuff, man. And that goes with the last thing, which is I really hate to lose. I don't care about winning. I learned about myself recently. I used to think I did. I used to think I cared a lot about winning. I don't actually. What I really hate above all things is losing, and I didn't know that about myself till recently.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what gets me through is I wake up and like just yesterday, like some guy here at the conference was like just talking smack to me, and I was like, I'm speaking and you're not. So, I'm not really like I can't hear you from where I'm standing. You know what I mean? I know it's kind of an arrogant way to look at it, but like if you're gonna just belittle me, right? Like maybe just take into account what's where you're at first. So it's those sorts of people that I love. Actually, I love them because they keep me going.
So I got a lot of questions throughout all these motivators and demotivators, but specifically on this one, starting with this one, do you feel like that individual was attacking you or going after you unfairly or unjustly, or was he attacking the ideas and principles and technology that you were promoting, or was it just kind of a friendly like razz and giving you a hard time, which you took as a challenge, like, hey, I'm going to step up and prove this guy wrong?
No, I don't know this kid. I forgot about him. I guess he used to come to my meetups, but it was like it was definitely not friendly. But like I didn't realize it because like I was just too busy talking to a bunch of people, and so I was like, wait, what did you say? I gotta go. So and then it processed later, and I was like, oh, well, whatever. I found it I found it interesting. I find people really interesting. I used to think, I talked to my mom about this. I used to think like when, like, you and I were talking earlier before the podcast about something really cool that you did. For me, that's something you celebrate with another person. Like, right? Like if like my friend, one of my good friends got into Yale Med, I'm not going to like, be like, oh, well, whatever, you got into this, that for me is a moment of celebration. But I've discovered that that's not the case with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's what I've experienced in the past, because I have been such an introvert, because I don't in the past like never talked. I just sat there and observed people. Actually, I think I got really, really good at observing interactions between people and observing what they say, what they do, and then how they respond to other people. And so I've always been very much kind of like the creepy guy in the corner of the room watching everybody else, right? And seeing what's going on. So if I was in the room when this happened and I saw it, maybe I could tell you, you know what, that person was approaching you from a point of a view of self-esteem problems that's going on, right? And they needed to kind of get something out. And if they could knock you down one notch, then it wouldn't necessarily build them up, but they would just feel better about their own situation in many cases.
In that case, what I usually say, especially if someone's like trying to like, knock you down or whatever it is, like my tour de force, and I would encourage anyone listening to use this, is thanks for your concern. Because what do you say to that? like your presentation's not doing really well. Thanks for your concern. Yep. And it's like it's like a Mortal Kombat, finish him. Like what are you gonna say? Nothing. And just like you said, it is. I realize it isn't about me, and I too. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm definitely an introvert. But like I've learned in this industry, especially in the tech industry, egos are so like they're huge, and you can disturb them at any moment. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I feel that, I see that, and I have a lot of thoughts on that, which probably could wrap itself into 3 or 4 other completely different podcast episodes that we can record like back to back to back on that, hours of material. But to me, what it comes down to is an emotional reaction internally that manifests itself in a fight, flight, or freeze response, right? And so in any given circumstances, if a person has a certain trigger, right, then that trigger will make them have these emotions, and to deal with these emotions, the natural response for some individuals is either fight and get very defensive, or flight, like take off and leave the conference or leave the room or leave the conversation or whatever, or freeze, just sit there like I've always done in my life, just freeze with like turn completely white as a ghost and or bright red, and then not have anything to say. So, Basel, that's my take on it. But in a moment, I want to ask you about some of the other things, some of the other motivators that you talked about, such as your mom being a first-generation immigrant and all the things she did to get you to the position that you are today, and to get your siblings to where they are today, all the sacrifices that she made. But first, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by me, Chad Bostic. As an enterprise IT leader, I've gotten the opportunity to solve a number of different business problems, including field worker productivity, back office process efficiencies, enterprise system integrations, big data analysis, resource management, and IT complexity reduction. Each project comes with its own unique challenge, whether it be distributed teams, change management, stakeholder buy-in, availability of subject matter experts, or just getting one technology to play nice with others. Let me know what business problem is keeping you up at night and how you'd like me to help. Go to chadbostic.com and click the contact button, or text "Hello Chad," all one word, to 44222. That's chadbostic.com, chadbostic.com, and click the contact button, or text "Hello Chad," all one word, HELLOCHAD, to 44222. Okay, we're back with Basel Farag. Basel is a iOS developer, a tech writer, a mentor. He's writing a book about the I just lost it.
Metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me do that again, because I feel like I destroyed it.
No worries.
Okay, we're back with Basel Farag. Basel is an iOS developer, a tech writer, a mentor. He's writing a book on the Metal framework for iOS and Swift and Objective-C. which is all about like machine learning and about 3D graphics and all kinds of stuff. We've been talking to Basel about motivation and the things that really get him down and the things that bring him up. And sometimes it's kind of two sides of the same coin, right? Where the things that weaken us also turn us into superheroes, right? Because if you try to challenge Basel and say, "Hey, dude, your presentation is not good enough," he's going to be like, "Oh yeah, watch this," and step it up 3 more levels on you. But Basel, before the break, we were talking about your mom. You told us a story of your mom being a first generation immigrant, or your first generation immigrant. And your mother sacrificed so much. She moved to another country. She didn't speak the language. She learned the language. She had to deal with all kinds of just, people putting her down and mocking her for her English skills. She worked all the time in order to provide for her family and put her kids in college. And now, you're the successful, iOS and Mac developer. And you said that what really motivates you is that you want to be able to repay that. You feel like it's unjust, it's not fair, that she hasn't yet been rewarded for her efforts. So what would you like to give her? Like if you, through this motivation, you were able to achieve this goal and give something to your mother or see something happen to your mother where you felt like she was finally rewarded for all this hard work, what would that look like?
Yeah, she'd never have to lift a finger ever again.
Nice.
That would be the dream. But knowing her, she's very stubborn. If she listens to this, sorry, Ma. She will want to do things herself regardless. But she won't have to. Right. That's what matters to me. And she doesn't have to worry about bills. My sister, got a full scholarship to school, which is great, but she also has some bills. My mom, I don't want her to worry about those. I just don't want her to worry. I just want her to kick back and do whatever she wants. So that's what it would look like to me. And, even with that accomplished, I don't think it would end. I think that's the biggest goal because that's the goal closest to my heart. Mm-hmm. But I also know who I am. Once that's achieved, I don't think it'll stop after that.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point because sometimes we have goals that are like big lifestyle dreams, and for many people, most people in the world, that's just like it's a unicorn and rainbow, right? It's never going to happen. Yeah. But you know what? You're a smart individual. You got a lot going on. You're a hard worker. You're very motivated to see this goal happen. And either you by yourself or a combination of you and your siblings, you might actually do this. Right. And I would teasingly say, there's no way you can do this just because I know that you can. And I know that would motivate you to step it up even more and take care of this. But I think that's an awesome thing you said is that's the goal closest to your heart. And you can absolutely, I believe in you that you can take care of this. And I don't know how many years it would take, how many months it would take, but to get to the point where your mother never has to lift a finger again to take care of stuff because everything's taken care of for her, but then that's just one step. And now you've got more goals in front of you, right? And it's a never-ending process. So tell us about what that would look like. Like what would your dreams be if you could knock this goal out and then go work on the other things that you're passionate about? What would that lifestyle look like for you?
To me, I think it kind of resembles what you kind of do. What you do now actually is, I think I really believe in freedom, and I think that freedom, for whatever it's worth, and there are those who may disagree with me, and there's valid points, means owning your own destiny. And the only way I think you can do that is by either starting a business or doing something where you are in control, if that makes any sense. You know, I am a programmer, but there is a saying amongst the business, you know, amongst the suits, and most programmers don't realize this, but they say of us, the biggest suckers in tech are engineers. And they are absolutely right. Because when you think about the work that we put in and save, you know, how much money we save for these companies, it is nothing. I mean, you might still get 200, like, let's say you work at Google, you get 200K. Great. You invented a patent that saved the company 10 mil, right?
Right.
Is that what you want? Like, I mean, maybe you're happy with that, but I'm not.
Awesome stuff. I love it. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could spin it. I mean, earlier in my career, it was if somebody told me that I could make 200K by writing code when I was maybe in my early 20s, and I would have said, okay, just sign me up. I don't care what the cost is, right? Just sign me up, because I would write code for free. I'm doing it for free anyway, just because. And now you're going to put $200,000 in my account for doing that? Yeah. And I had really, it was because that sounds amazing when you're a 20-something-year-old kid. It sounds amazing to a lot of people, no matter how old you are, right? But it was also because I had no faith or belief in myself that I was worth more than that, right? And so I think for me, it took really reevaluating my contributions to the company, or to the companies that I've worked for over the course of my career, and come to the decision that it took a long time to come to the decision to, you know what, I am paid very, very well. I am rewarded very, very well, but my value to the organization is worth far more than that to me, right? And so I'm going to reinvest in myself. And so, yeah, that's why we have Entrepreneurship Saturday, where we talk about starting a business and doing a hot side hustle and getting everything started. But you know what? We're going to have to save that conversation for another day. Basel, but before we go, could you share any parting words of wisdom that you have for our audience, the best way that we can connect with you? And then we'll say goodbye.
Sure. Parting words. No matter what anyone says, ignore them. If you've got a dream, protect it and go after it, because you know what? What I've discovered about life is that you can keep going even when you fail, and people can't deny you. And then if you want to reach me, my shenanigans can be found. I'm on Twitter at JXRGXN. That's jargon, but with X's. And then Gargling with Razor Blades. If you are interested in finding out where my book is and want to receive a free chapter that won't be included in the book, sign up at www.metalthebook.com. No idea why it was available. I lucked out on that one. And that's it. That's the best way to reach me. Oh, and email. I answer people's emails. People think I don't answer their emails for some reason, but I do. So, and it's just my first name dot my last name at Gmail. I'm always willing to talk to people. So
awesome, Basel. Thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value your insight and your conversation and your motivation. You know what? It's inspired me to take a look at any negativity that comes my way, regardless of where it comes, to just flip that around into a challenge and reach a little deeper and a little harder. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Chad. Dude, this was awesome. I loved it.
Awesome. Cool. Tech Pros, if you are in the situation where you're feeling down about yourself, or you feel like other people are bringing you down, take a look at this conversation. Take a look at this situation that Basil's talking about, man. Just use that as inspiration to prove them wrong. Prove yourself wrong. Prove your old self 2 years ago, the one that said that you're no good kid, you'll never make it here, or that person in your life, whether it's a family member, a quote unquote friend, right, a colleague, whoever it is, that says negative stuff, take that negative stuff and use it as fuel for your motivation to fire you up and prove them wrong, prove yourself wrong. And through that motivation, as you start working on it, you will get really clear about the goals, the things in your life that really matter to you, the things that you really want to accomplish for you, for the world, and you'll be able to rock it out of the park. You've been listening to Basel Farag, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/148. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe to this channel, and check back tomorrow. This has been Motivation Monday, but tomorrow my featured guest and I talk about productivity. On Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and Sunday, being unplugged. Then next week, we start it all over again with Motivation Monday. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.